and you have passed your exams in first attempt and you have 3 to 4 months of clinical experience, I think you stand a decent chance. Now, if any of those things are lacking or deficient in your application, you may have to work harder in other areas. For many programs, I think year of graduation and USMLE scores and failures on USMLE exams, that would be one red flag that will make things a little challenging for you. But I can tell you from experience, I've been working with residents. I started program directorship about 3, 4 years ago, but I've been working with residency applicants for quite a bit time. So if you stay persistent, if you keep working hard, at the end of the day, everyone matches. So I'll stop here. I'll stay on for the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, moving on to the resident, it's very interesting to have an opinion. Dr. Jasim Al Mahmood is from CMH and he was the best graduate. Two things really stand out to me. One, that you are from CMH, which means that I'm assuming there wasn't a very strong alumni background as compared to in King Edward, how so many people are matched already, and there's so many people to reach out to, as well as having a very strong background. Most people go for very competitive fields. I want to ask you about both of them, and I want to ask you that what made you choose psychiatry, and how did you navigate all of these factors?
Well, thanks for asking me that question. I would say first thing specifically about psychiatry, then I will move to the latter part. So the question has now been changed. First it was why psychiatry. Now the question is why not psychiatry, specifically to medical students who want to pursue a specialty. For me, why I choose psychiatry was that I have been, for mostly of my adulthood, I have been a very pragmatic individual. I I strategize a lot, I plan a lot, and that has made a foundation of who I am today. But the thing is that during my med school years, I was interested in human behavior, but I was really at that aspect because I was decoding everything, like what is the human behavior, why is it like that, why is a person is acting that way, what are the social factors, what are the cultural factors, different personality traits. So that would help me in succeeding in life. But during my fourth year, I realized that I was like where I was performing very well, both in my personal, professional career. But one thing that was lacking is the part of human self, like the concept of being. And there when I was in my psychiatry rotation, I was able, when I like interacted with patients and when I saw the suffering and the pursuit to achieve a consolidation of identity, there I got the integration of both my right and left hemisphere of the brain. So I realized that both like you need to be disciplined and pragmatic, but there's also emotional side of the brain that you need to be connected to individuals. You need to be empathetic. You need to be when you're with someone, you have to be attentive. You're listening attentively, and that was something that brought me to psychiatry. And the best thing that I got from my mentors through maturing when I was applying to residency was that integration of both objective and subjective components of psychiatry. So it was like the integration of both heart and mind. That's what brought me into psychiatry, and that's why I chose psychiatry as a specialty. Second thing is that like I like my batch middle, like I'm the third batch. We have graduated, so we didn't have a strong alumni network. But one thing I didn't stop was I had a clear pathway of what I wanted to do. So like I had mentors starting from first year of med school. So my roadmap was aligned that I wanted to pursue MLE and this specialty I was going to. It was clear cut decided that psychiatry is going to be my specialty in fourth year. And I was thinking about it in my second year of med school. So mentors guided me how you're going to reach out to people. So I started reaching out to people in fourth year of med school. And I humbly requested them, this is who I am, this is my journey, and are you willing to mentor me? So like 4 and 5 people, they were really helpful. They helped me a lot. They were mentoring me from every aspect. And one of my mentors, she's the best, and she helped me a lot in boosting my interpersonal skills. And that was brought up again and again in my letter of recommendations and during my rotations. And that was the best thing that I invested in, and that got me into interviews. And after the interviews, I was sure that I was like I'm grateful that I was 100% sure that I was going to match, and I ended up matching at my first choice. So the best thing is get a mentor. Like start from like first year, get a mentor. Like, okay, you're preparing for steps, get a mentor for steps. You're going for step two, get a mentor. You're going to US, get a mentor. You're going to perform in your rotations, get a mentor for that. The mentor is going to guide you. The mentor is going to direct all your efforts to the spot that needs the most amount of investment. So I matched. I wouldn't say it was because of my intelligence. It was because of the efforts of my
Good mentor.
mentors. And that's the best thing. Yeah. Have good
I
mentors.
do
That's the
want to
correct.
follow this up. I do want to follow this up. That how did you find mentors, and how did you end up finding out that they wanted what you wanted and be very aligned in what you wanted, and how is that process?
Okay. So there was some I reached so initially my I reached out to my faculty at my med school. I reached
Okay.
out to like every professor in my med school, starting from first year to final year. There I got connected to two individuals who were psychiatrists in the United States. I kept reaching out to people. I kept reaching on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I messaged a lot of people, and that's where I also learned the art of professional communication too. So I kept reaching out to people in med school. And when I was over there, I was just and one thing that was a little bit I did more was when I was in US, I started cold calling. I even called psychiatrists that this is who I am, these are my credentials, and are you willing to mentor me? And approximately I would give my 100% best, and the people I reached out to, more than 70% were guided me in a way that was helpful for me. So reach out to faculty at your med school. They will connect to you with some individual who is in the preferred specialty that you want to go in. That's the best thing. Second thing, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Tell people that if someone is pursuing research, this is my portfolio. I'm really interested in research. I can help. I can work along with you. That's where you can get them, and then you can get a research mentor from that. And when you're in US, that's very important. When you're in US, you are an IMG, you get a rotation in United States. The attending you are rotating with, it's very important that you ask them that, okay, these are the things, I want feedback on these specific things. So my first rotation, I asked my attending, and it was my first month, and then she interviewed me and she told me these are the things that you need to practice on your interview and your application. And it was such a good experience that she referred me to another individual. I have to say he's the best. I worked alongside with him. I worked alongside a book with him. We wrote a child animation series. I worked with him on a podcast, and that was very good. And then he guided me. Okay, well, he mentored me in the personal statement part, my ERA CV part, and then he recommended me to other total the hospital experience that I had in St. Elizabeth Hospital for 4 months, and then there I got the best mentor. For 4 months, he was mentoring me through everything. We used to practice 1 hour interview daily, and and it was not easy. The first month, I was okay, I was doing the routine, the duties that were of the externs. You do the psychiatric updates, progress notes, and interviews and everything, and you take that you're attending and you're learning. But after the first month, I got an opportunity. So we had a patient. So that patient needed okay, how can I say in the HIPAA compliance form, the patient X, and that needed involuntary hospitalization. So we needed to write a whole letter that to the United States Attorney General that we need involuntary hospitalization. So I asked to my attending, okay, I can do this for you. And it's are you sure? Yeah, I can do that. And I took the opportunity. I wrote a whole 30-page document contacting the social workers, nurse practitioners, case managers, the family of the patient X. And I wrote the whole letter, and my attending was really surprised that I did. It was okay, that's really good. And from that, I asked 1 week after that, I asked him are you willing to mentor me? He's yeah, sure. I got more opportunities like that. And he was I got psychiatry 101 classes every day on every topic. that was the best thing ever. Like that's what you want, that a psychiatrist who is very competent, who is willing to mentor you and see that you also want to become an excellent psychiatrist like them. And if they see that in you and like, okay, let's invest in this individual. And that was the best thing. Those 4 months were truly formative for me. I learned to be like more like my patient communications with patients were more empathetic, more grounded, more structured, and my our notes were really organized, and my interview was really good. And the social workers, case managers, even the psychologists on the team, like they reached out to my attending and said, he's a really good guy. And that was mentioned in my letter of recommendation, and that was brought up in my all of my interviews, especially written into LOR, that this guy has great interpersonal skills, and the patients were really he brought a change in patient lives, and they were willing to take medications. And that was the thing, and learning the art of both psychopharmacology and psychotherapy, especially from a mentor, and that was the best thing. So I would say that's how I got mentors. Get in touch with your faculty. The crux says get in touch with your faculty, get into contact with someone over there so you get to know the basics. Then when you're over there, perform your best, like 105%, and ask that individual to mentor you, and they will like tell you, okay, these are the things that you need to work on a lot. And when you're done, then like, okay, and go to the next individual. They will tell you, okay, these are the things, and find someone who is like willing to go the extra edge with you, and they will like give you the critical feedback that you need. Sometimes the critical feedback can be like, okay, can be a little demeaning, but if you get the critical feedback from some person, like that's the best thing you can have. So have a mentor who gives you critical feedback, things that you really want to improve on yourself. So yeah, that's how you find a mentor.
That's so insightful. It was really wonderful hearing about your journey. I noticed Dr. Ahmed Khan has joined us as well. Dr. Ahmed Khan is a medical director, psychiatry and addiction medicine from Westchester Medical Center Health Network, New York, and president-elect of PAPA-NA. Welcome, sir. We're so delightful to have you with us.
Uh, Good morning and assalamu alaikum, everyone. Uh, Thanks a lot for inviting me.
No, we're
No, I really appreciate it. I think the campsite and it's the International Federation of Student IFMSA. So you guys are doing a good job. So thanks a lot for inviting me. I think this webinar already has some people who mentored me, like Dr. Ali Hashmi, Dr. Sadiq Navi, Dr. Waqar Azeem. These are the people who have been mentoring psych applicants for years now. Um, and I think I really like how one of the incoming interns, Jasim, was saying things. I think he said all the right things, like how to approach everything, how to find a mentor. I think he rotated at St. Elizabeth, DC, where Dr. Farouk Muhyiddin is a program director. I think that's one of the best places because that's the only places that do offer hands-on externship for international medical graduates who require visa. That's certainly one of the best places where one can rotate. Um, so well, I would just say that over the past few years, at least 10 years, psychiatry has gotten very competitive. But it does not mean that people don't match. We Every year we have a lot of good Pakistani applicants who match to psychiatry. Psychiatry, I think, is the only field where we have a lot of Pakistani Indian origin program directors as well. So it's something that a lot of these days, a lot of DOs, MDs, American grads are also going into due to good compensation, better lifestyle. But still, IMGs make their way in. So I'll just say that as Jason was saying, finding a mentor, but focusing on basics, and basics is your scores. No attempt in step one, a good score in CK. I often say it's not because scores are everything, but if you have a good score, right now 249 is an average CK score for all specialties. So if you have above 249, it gives you an edge. If a residency program in New York City, let's say Almos, has 14, 16 spots and they are getting 3,000 applicants, unfortunately, they would put a filter. So it's not very common that psych program would put a filter, but when they have so many applicants, they will. And among those 3,000 applicants applying, at least I would say these are again rough numbers. At least I think half have above 240 CK score. So that definitely gives you an edge. But if you don't have it, the good thing about psychiatry is that the focus on score is not as much as we see in internal medicine, family medicine, or pediatrics. So you still have other options to enhance your CV. And usually, even if you have score like 230s, you still have a very fair chance that with good experience, some research, good personal statement, networking, you can still manage. But I think the most important thing is planning early, finding right people to guide you, and start working on things from the day one. Because a lot of people, they reach out to me, they're still saying, "Oh, we are applying to psychiatry, we are also applying to internal medicine." I mean, there's no harm in doing that, but that does dilute your CV. And right now, because psych is in there's such a huge amount of psychiatrists, if they start doubting it, that okay, that person might be applying to neural medicine, that may uh, turn out to be a negative impact factor in your CV. So that's it from my end, and I'll be here for the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. But Dr. Ahmadran, I do want to follow up that you have mentored
Sure.
yourself a lot of young physicians. What do you look for in a mentor? What makes you mentor a physician really well or take somebody up?
Yes, very good question. I think there are a few things. So, of course, people like me, Dr. Sadiq Naveed. So, Dr. Sadiq Naveed would be definitely in a different because being a program director, he won't be able to mentor people like that. But like Dr. Hashmi he has been doing mentorship for years and years from Pakistan. Uh, what I usually do is, and what we emphasize a lot is professional communication to begin with, that when you reach out to someone, like Jason was saying, it has to be professional. And we, from Apna YPC Forum, we have been talking a lot about it. And because unfortunately there is a trend we see that, and I don't say that it's the fault of that individual entirely, because in Pakistan, there's not a lot of focus on professional communication. In Pakistan, unfortunately, if you say sir, madam, that's considered the extent of professional relationships, professional communication. So I think very important is that you learn the art of professional communication. And once you do that, try to apply that. Some very basic things are like if you're reaching someone out on LinkedIn, make sure that these are professional things like you get the name right. I sometimes get messages, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Farhan, and that's okay. We used to do, unfortunately, the same, like you are sending cold messages to a lot of people. And then some people don't even know that I'm a psychiatrist. Some people don't even know. Some people would think I'm a neurologist. Some people think I'm an internist. So these kind of things are very basics, and that really rub people the wrong way. Uh, I think professionally reaching out to people, LinkedIn, Twitter, even Instagram. I mean, any forum should be okay. But the most important thing is that the first message you send would be the most important. That should have starting with the greetings, right name, dear doctor, last name, and then it should have your information. A lot of time I get messages, a page long messages, no information about that individual, him or herself. Like I want this, I want that, and really well written message, but no information about. So again, if you are reaching out to someone who do not know you, then there's a structure to a message, whether it's an email, whether it's a message on social media. Like it starts with professional name, greetings, a little information about yourself, little information why you are reaching out, and a little information how that person's help can help your career or your path forward. And then the closing. That is very, very important. And I have to say this one thing, and again, I'm myself from Lahore. I'm just going to share something that I have noticed. I have to say one thing that people, unfortunately, from Lahore, from Punjab medical colleges, they are actually not doing a very good job in that. I have seen people from Sindh, Karachi, even other like interior Sindh, their ability to reach out to people in a more professional way is significantly better than students from the medical colleges from Punjab. It is unfortunate. I'm from Punjab myself, but this is something that I wanted to put it out there so that the students from Punjab, they start working more on towards that. And I think especially people from King Edward, you have Dr. Ali Hashmi, who I think has mentored all of us, who has taught us all of these things. Even till today, if we want something to be written really well, we reach out to him. So I think just learning from those people would be the best way. But this is very basic because if you send a message that is like rude or not even rude and unprofessional, then that gives a bad first impression, which I don't think would help you. And the other thing people also don't understand that it's a small world. You send a really rude message or unprofessional message to someone who, okay, doesn't help you, but don't say anything to you, but the word gets out. So, and the last thing I will add to it, in the past couple of years, we have, not to scare you guys, but we have seen a lot of residents of Pakistani origin being fired from residency programs. And it's not due to because they are not intelligent enough, they don't work hard, it's their unprofessionalism. Because this unprofessionalism and entitlement, unfortunately, at times, even after getting residency, transfers to the residency program. And that we have seen an uptick of that, which is very concerning. So I would again request again and again that please, I would tell you my example. I started making the same mistakes when I came here because we are not taught these things. But I think right now, with the help of YPC, Papana, there is so much guidance available. We are doing webinars on it, and we will be hopefully doing like an in-person session in Apna summer meeting with Dr. Namira, Dr. Gulrez. Those are very good people, especially Dr. Namira, I must say. So I would say that start working on those things. These seem like very small things, but they can
Yes.
make a lot of impact, not only, and that would translate with the same if you are emailing a residency program director, a coordinator, thank you emails. So that is a skill that if you could learn, it would be very, very, very helpful for you. And again, I'm again saying that I personally, I don't speak for others, made similar mistakes, but I had guidance from people like Dr. Sadiq Nabi, Dr. Hashmi, Dr. Zishan, Dr. Waqar Azeem. Then I try to learn that and still in a learning process. So that would be all from my end. And I
Yes,
will be
thank
again
you.
here for questions.
Yes, thank you so much. It was very insightful, all your tips. We'll try to keep them in mind. I've seen that Dr. Muhammad Waqar Azeem has joined us. He is the inaugural chair of the Department of Psychiatry in Sidra Medicine, Qatar. He is also assistant professor at Yale University, a leading figure in child and adolescent psychiatry and global mental health. Dr. Waqar Azeem brings extensive experience in academic leadership, residency training, and international psychiatry experience. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Very nice to see you, and thank you so much for the invitation. Uh, I hope it's okay. I usually do walk at this time, so I thought I can join while walking. Great to see Dr. Rehan, Dr. Siddiq, Dr. Fateh, Dr. Hashmi. Mashallah, so much power sitting in this webinar. So, lot of kudos to the organizers. I'm hearing all the great things. So, nothing much to add. What should I say which will be valuable, which has not been said? Might be few things. First of all, a lot of us apply for these residencies and fellowship. And while applying, I think the most important thing I always think about is that you need to have a belief that anything is possible. You start with that belief rather than thinking it is very difficult, it is impossible, these are the hurdles. You need to have a self-belief. I think that can go a long way. Secondly, since I used to be a training director a while back, once you have the interview, at least where I was a training director, everybody was equal. And your interview day was probably the most important thing. And at least in our program, I didn't care much about the clinical knowledge or even the letter of recommendation once the person is sitting in front of me. The most important thing was the interview. And one of the biggest thing which I always ask, how this person was with my coordinator and the residents. Sometime I paid that to even more attention to those things rather than the interview with the attendings. And thank you letters makes a big difference. On the match day, they were in front of me. Dr. Rehan already mentioned, I think, is Rabia on the line?
Dr. Rabia
Rabia,
couldn't join us today.
okay, okay. So
Yeah.
I give you an example how to find a mentor. You all know probably there was a international child meeting in Lahore in November last year.
Yes.
So we were at a dinner at Fountain House, and Rabia reached out to me at the first time. I don't know her, but I saw her organizing things in that conference. And she reached out to me. There was another student who I know for a long time, Amna, who was with her, who introduced her. And she was a little bit like initially shy that should she even reach out to me. I think that was the first time I know her. First thing I asked after meeting her, she was very appropriate, very courteous, very humble. I saw her performance already on the stage at the conference. First thing I asked Professor Nazish, tell me about this girl. How is she like? You think she can be successful in US and what her background in is key? So Professor Nazish gave a personal reference. No, she's good and she will do well in US. So that was enough. But you feel that you have a connection with that person. So don't be shy. In person can make a big difference, although it is hard when you're sitting in Lahore. Is somebody who knows a person in US, if they give a reference that this person is good, can you kindly see if you can support this person? That can go a long way. And lastly, at least what I'm looking at is passion, honesty, and email or message tailored specifically to me, not a general message, because I see messages, so many messages all the time. So those are some of the things I can think of. But I think knowing the students in most of our medical colleges in Pakistan, mashallah, you do some amazing work. So if you try hard, being honest, being passionate, I think things would be fine. Other one might be other good example. I was in a meeting. One of the candidate arranged a meeting with a group. There were people from Canada, there were people from Pakistan, there were people from US, and it was 5:30 a.m. in US. So if you come to a meeting, be ready that you're in for a meeting. I will always prefer if people turn on their cameras. I can see, is this person ready, sitting in a bed, how prepared they are. That can go a long way. So those are some of the things I can think of. But thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful comments. I'm excited to say that Dr. Fateh Shehzad has joined us. It's an absolute privilege. Dr. Fateh is the former president of KEMCAANA, a member of FCC APPNA, and visa liaison with APPNA. His guidance regarding IMG pathways, networking, visas, and navigating the US system has helped many aspiring applicants over the years. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Most welcome.
Sir, I would want to ask you about navigating visas and what mistakes do you think IMGs usually make during this residency application process and the visa applications?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for arranging this important webinar. I will talk about a few mistakes as well as what to do and what not to do about visa application, visa interviews. These days, as things change, every month, every year, every so often, things change about visa requirement. So I will talk about what is the most recent requirement and most recent not to do things. First of all, they're really focusing as well as enforcing the stay. Like how much time did you spend in USA? Most of the visa officers who are going to interview you for residency and fellowship visas, they know that you need 3 letter of recommendation and maybe you need some time to do step 3 exam. So I usually recommend staying not more than 4 months in a cycle. What does cycle mean? That in your one uh, match cycle. So if you are, suppose, unfortunately did not match, and you still have those letter of recommendation, you still have passed your step 3, so don't make an excuse to spend another 4 or 5 months uh, for second cycle. You can use previous letter of recommendation as well as your step 3. So shorter stay is the best option, especially these days they're putting annotation on the visa stamps, like it is going to stay visa for observership or visa for step 3 at this hospital, this state, and this city. So that's very specific annotation, and you should respect that. Most of the time, people call me that it's written 2 months, but my I-94 record says 6 months. Please do not pay attention to I-94 record. Whatever is annotation, whatever the visa officer told you, whatever you told during visa interview or on arrival, honor that. If there is a stamp on your visa stamp or written on your visa stamp that this is for 3 months, that is 3 months from the day you entered. So do not stay any longer time because it can cause problem. I just got a call from API president that their J1 visa have been rejected, enormous number in India recently, and most of them because of their longer stay. So that's one thing that you should be very careful. Now, if it is a research visa, which is usually J1 visa, then you should make sure that you have somebody, which should be a corporation, who is going to give you a letter that they are going to sponsor you, means they will provide fund while you're staying in America. If it is a paid job, then it's okay. You don't need any sponsor. But if it is somebody getting a non-paid research for a year, you should arrange some funds and some commitment from a corporation. Can be hospital, can be company in Pakistan. Usually individuals do not get that much attention when it comes to the visa officer. So get it from a corporation. It should be an affidavit on a stamp paper that this corporation is going to provide this much amount for a year, $40,000 to $50,000. They don't have to have that much money available. That means they can send you later every month, yeah, every quarter. But there should be a legitimate company with legitimate income. Some corporation with income of $2,000 a year cannot make you a affidavit of 50,000 a year. So you have to be consistent with whatever is written. That should be there should be documental proof that they have that much income. Maybe not that many funds in the bank account, but they have potential income that's going to come. For B1, B2 visa, you also need a sponsor. And if you are working, even a house job or private medical office, not making much money, but during your interview or during your paperwork, you should include yourself as your sponsor too, because you're a doctor. When you're going to interview somebody who is a college graduate in their early 20s, if you say, my mother is paying for this trip or my father is paying for this trip, this kind of gets some that you are not a responsible person. You're a burden on other people or on the society. You can simply say that I am working as a medical officer. I'm doing my house job. But during my house job, I saved 3 lakh rupees, 4 lakh rupees, but it's not enough for my trip. So I requested my father, my mother, my brother, my uncle to kindly loan me money. And they were kind enough to give me money. and I'm going to return them as soon as possible. That shows you are responsible, you have self-respect, and you are going to take loan and then give back. So these are norm in American society. Uh, Help is not very common, and it is not well respected if you say, my father is helping me with this trip. Uh, you will also need an affidavit from your whoever is sponsoring you for B1, B2 visa. Uh, Interview skills, interview etiquettes, dress professionally. For ladies, if you cover your head, wear scarf, you're allowed to do that. There's no negative impact of that. I usually recommend don't wear too much jewelry, too much makeup, any shocking color clothes. Just look professional, and don't call them sir or madam, because it's not very well taken word for especially coming from more educated and older person to a younger person, less educated. If you call them sir or ma'am, this is disrespectful. So call them officer, and be prepared for answering question. Answer confidently, be truthful. Any officer asking you question during interview, they know the exact answer, so don't try to hide any information. At the same time, don't volunteer any information. If they ask you, only answer that part. Do not just give more details, because then there will be more question about it. I get asked question about family member staying out in USA. Your spouse, that can be a problematic, because your spouse can sponsor you for green card, but at the same time you can't hide your that thing. So who if your uh, mother, father, your sibling, your spouse is in USA already at any status, please uh, mention that in your visa application. Distant uncles, aunts, distant relative, they really don't matter. Even parents at your age, they don't matter. They cannot sponsor you for green card, because most of you are already aged out. Only person can sponsor will be your child or your spouse. So but at the same time, mention them. Don't hide information, because they will know that your parents are there, your spouse is there, your siblings are there, and if you hide information, that will be definite rejection. I'm available for answer specific questions, answers. This is such a topic I can talk whole day, but I understand there is limitation of time. So I will give back to the moderator, and I'll be available for question answers. Thank you very much for arranging this.
Thank you so much, sir. That's extremely valuable advice, because many applicants unfortunately realize these mistakes quite late into the process. So it's really helpful that you told us all of this today. I've noticed that Dr. Shahneel Mahmood has also joined us. He is from KE batch 22 or 23, I think, who matched into psychiatry at Larkin Community Hospital, South Miami campus. Thank you so much for joining and welcome.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Assalamu alaikum and hello to everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's really a privilege to be in the presence of such great mentors. So, yes, I matched in Larkin Community Hospital and I am from batch 22.
Yes, I want to ask you some questions. The first would be that you are from King Edward Medical University, and most people from King Edward, the general trend is to go towards internal medicine. And most of your batch fellows must have gone for internal medicine. So, did you notice differences in your application strategy and your interview and your expectations trying to match for a different specialty as compared to the general trend? And how did you navigate through that?
Yes, actually, I would like to admit that I was also inclined toward internal medicine first. So until and unless I started my like house job, like internship in Mayo. So my first rotation was of psychiatry, and I initially joined it with the thought like I would get more time to prepare for like my first steps. But as soon as I joined it, I found it like really interesting, and like I am at home. So I usually call the psychiatry department my home. So after joining that, actually I didn't know the difference between psychiatry and even psychologist, to be honest. So after joining that, I started developing interest in that. And while going along the internship, so immediately after psychiatry, I had rotation in internal medicine department, and I didn't find it really exciting at all. So there my belief from. And after having house job, 1 year gap was there. I took a gap to prepare for my like step 2 exam, and meanwhile I gave my like residency exams in Pakistan, like FCPS and MD psychiatry. So I developed my interest in that, in psychiatry. I would give you example of my interview. Like the first question usually you get when you start giving interviews is like, why that specialty? So as Dr. Jasim Mahmood said that, why not psychiatry? So I started with that as well. So I was like, why not psychiatry? So there were some aspects of my personality that were very much aligned with like psychiatry, like developing interest in why the person is behaving the way they are, like backstory and background, and what is the thought process. Like for example, if even while watching the movies or something like that, the characters, why they are behaving like that. So these kind of and I am a natural listener. So while doing these things, so I started aligning more myself with psychiatry. One thing I would like to add, that while developing CV, or you have to be that sure that you are going for psychiatry. As Dr. Khan said, that I did my rotation with Dr. Khan, and he's really a great mentor. So you should not dilute your CV for internal medicine if you are going for psychiatry. Even I take it as a like offense if someone says that they are keeping psychiatry as a as a backup plan, because when you try to switch your CV, like manipulate it, so like psychiatry goes at the backside. So even my experiences of internal medicine, so I tried to like manipulate it around psychiatry, which were true as well. Like for example, as I mentioned previously, that while doing the internal medicine rotation, we had a patient of post-stroke depression. So he was allocated to me. So by writing the calls, interdepartmental calls, to the psychiatry department, so I was very much excited in dealing with the psychiatric side of that patient. So I mentioned that in my CV. So these are the little things you have to keep in mind while writing your CV, that you keep it like you keep the core of the CV towards psychiatry. So, and the third important thing I would like to say is that I feel deeply for the cause of the mental health, because there are so many challenges even today, after so much awareness, that people don't give really like thought. Even I have seen among the healthcare professionals that mental health is not considered as valuable as compared to like physical health, and we keep on reiterating this fact. Even Dr. Ali, I have worked with Dr. Ali as well in his mentorship. So we keep on reiterating the fact that mental health is as important and even more important than physical health, because it affects your whole body. So I personally feel for the cause of it. So all of these things really encapsulated like my journey towards psychiatry. That's all from my side.
I want to ask you a follow up question because you mentioned that you took a gap year to prepare for steps and
Yeah.
stuff. So I do want to ask you how you explained that in your interview, and how you explained all your internal medicine and all the journey throughout med school to be very psychiatry specific later on.
As I mentioned, you don't need to be like, I really believe that you don't need to be like, you should be honest. I believe that you don't need to mention that I was oriented from psychiatry. Like, it's very great if you are psychiatry oriented from first year, but I really, most of the people don't even know what medicine is going to be like. Like, they have not even went to the wards, and how can they say that they were interested into the psychiatry? Like, you need to be open to all the experiences before saying that you have developed interest in psychiatry. So I wouldn't say I was that sure about psychiatry, as I mentioned earlier, from day one. But as I went along the way, so I found it. But when I found my interest, then you need to be keep all your experiences around that field. Like keep your rotation psychiatry. Like most of the people, one unfortunate my class fellow, she couldn't find like psychiatry observership, so she ultimately get matched into the internal medicine, although she was a resident in psychiatry department here. So keep your interest. If you are interested in psychiatry, then all your experiences should be around psychiatry. Like yeah, I gave my residency exams in Pakistan here, so I mentioned that in my interview. And in my CV, I was already enrolled in psychiatry in Mayo Hospital as a resident as PGY1. So it consolidated this thing that I am interested in psychiatry, and I was already doing my residency here. So I try to cover my gap with these things, like I was preparing for my step 2 as well as giving my residency exams, because they require preparation. You don't give them like FCPS and MD without like preparation. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you so much. I do have some general questions. Like, there is a lot of ambiguity and confusion around the personal statement, what it should encompass. I would want everybody to make a comment about that, or please just help explain what you guys wrote in your personal statements and how we can cater it to explain our journey and make it meaningful but keep it professional and all the things we need to hit for a very well rounded personal statement.
Can I start?
Yes, sure.
So that's a very good question. Actually, personal statement, I would like to say that when you write the first draft of the personal statement, you should keep in mind that that you should have this point in mind. So it should be very much come from your heart, I believe. And first thing you should only keep in mind is that you should not like replicate your CV. That all of those experiences, it should not replicate your CV. It should be very much personal, I believe. That's why it's called personal statement. Like all the experiences you have that have developed your interest in the field, for example psychiatry, you should try to start it like that I started my personal statement like why it is appealing to me, psychiatry is appealing to me, with a very kind of like hook. For example, a story, it can be like your member of your family who was experiencing mental health issues, that was your that developed your interest in psychiatry or something like that. So it basically engages what whoever is reading your personal statement. After that, you should like write why this specific psychiatry. Like for example, I mentioned that experience that I told you about post-stroke depression patient, that while doing internal medicine I encountered that patient and I dealt with him. After that, you should explain, like I explained, that there are certain kind of traits in my personality that align with the psychiatry. Like I'm a natural listener or something like that. Like if people around me say that you are a kind of empathetic or something like that, these things. And believe me, when you are giving interviews and the way you are giving those answers and explaining everything, they are trying to assess like whether you have the things you have mentioned in your experiences or in your personal statement, are they aligning with your personality, like while you are giving it. And then you have to mention that why US. Like in my personal draft that I made my mentors evaluate, so the only thing that was missing in my personal statement was that it was not focused that why US. So in last paragraph you should mention why US would be the ideal site for you to work, you know. So these are the things that you should keep in mind for personal statement.
Well, this is really interesting. Dr. Sadiq Naveed, from a point of view of a program director, what are things about the personal statement that touch you or you think you remember and that elevates somebody's CV? Can you please shed some light about that?
Yeah, so I think personal statement in terms of your overall application package, if you have other things, then personal statement adds to it, but personal statement, unless it's really badly written, it's not gonna, break things for you. And most people, from my experience, write decent personal statement, especially with the ChatGPT. I also want to say don't use ChatGPT for writing personal statements. Write your draft, first draft by yourself, and maybe just use it for grammatical errors and spelling mistakes. In terms of, if you can start, if there is a story, a personal story that connects you with your interest in psychiatry, but, be careful, every day these, someone puts in like my aunt and uncle was diagnosed with mental health illnesses, which might be true for some people, but if you are seeing this in all personal statements, it becomes a little difficult to believe. So there, think about a story that, that got you interested in psychiatry. Usually, specialty interests are not a transactional experience, or it doesn't develop over day. It usually comes from longitudinal experience. So think about things that you can mention. I personally, more think that more recently in last couple of years, the emphasis on ERA's application has moved more towards attributes, your leadership skills, conflict resolution, communication. So if you can, indicate that in your personal statement by giving examples, I think that would be really valuable, because when we are looking at personal statement, we are also looking at personal statement in the viewpoint that you are going to be working with a team of residents. So how are you going to gel with other people? How are you going to resolve the conflicts? What are your leadership skills? And so give some examples from real life or from your CV that shows that yes, you have done those experience and you may have learned those valuable attributes. I'll stop here.
Thank you for your input. I would I don't know, is somebody's mic on? Please turn off your mic. I would ask Dr. Jasim Al Mahmood about his personal statement as well, and also Dr. Ahmed Rehan's view about personal statements.
Dr. Han, you want to take it first?
No, Justin, you go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So I would say for personal statement, have a flow. So 5 things. Have a hook, have a strong hook. Second thing, who you are as a person, like get to like a program director is reading your personal statement, reading the first paragraph, they get to know who you are in that summarized form, and like a little bit directed towards psychiatry, your interest in psychiatry. Then how that matured and how that, like as Dr. Han was saying, that longitudinal experience, your interest maturing into why you want to become a psychiatrist. Third thing, your psychiatry rotation in Pakistan, how was that? Then coming to US, any patient experience, like how the US system was different from Pakistan healthcare system, and then like connecting the first paragraph to the last paragraph, have a flow. And the one truth is that the psychiatrists, they see a lot of like a lot of patients communication, and like they need to read something that is very novel. So when they like, and in a way that is very curated to who you are as a person. So when they read it, like, okay, they read the first paragraph, they want to read the second, they want to read the third, and they want to read the whole personal statement, not just the first and second paragraph. They're like, okay. So they want to read the whole personal statement, and they read, okay, I want to meet this individual, this applicant in person. If you can get that vibe into your personal statement, it's a stellar personal statement. I have like put my personal statement on my Insta, but the few parts I have redacted because there's like for HIPAA compliance, the patient communication part, so you can get an idea of how that is. Also, you will find a lot of like personal statement webinars on the YouTube. Dr. Rehan has done a lot of good work, and get your personal statement reviewed by like 4 to 5 people from like other applicants, from mentors. I remember like when I wrote my personal statement, like one of my mentor, when she reviewed it, she's like, that's the best personal statement I've ever read. And that was really motivating for me, because like she told me like in like for the application and in like interviews, like 99% personal statement carries a lot of weightage. So have a very good personal statement, start writing it 6 to 8 months before, and like be really honest in it, and you must be able to present that in an interview. So what I like told why psychiatry, that was the part of my personal statement. That's the crux of what I learned. So I will really appreciate if the mentors, and like they can tell, because I only have like 1 year of experience like writing personal statement application. They can give better insight on how the process is. Thank you.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
All right. So yes, personal statement. I first must say, we're really glad to see Dr. Fateh Shehzad here. He has been helping a lot of us for the past decade, I would say, because he helped me when I was applying for residency and afterwards. And I would reiterate that I have been approached by some people from some other countries. And luckily, Alhamdulillah, in Pakistan, applicants' visa situation is better, but a lot of other countries, they are facing a lot of problems. So I think a huge credit should go to Dr. Fateh Shehzad, Apna Advocacy Committee that have been working tirelessly to maintain that good relationship with on the diplomatic front. Uh, Really good to see you, Jasim. And I must say that one thing from CMH, I think someone mentioned they're relatively new medical college, but what I have seen from CMH that uh, from relative being a relatively new medical college, a lot of people from CMH have been matching, and I think this year their number actually exceeded 30, which is a huge thing for a relatively new medical college. So very good work. Uh, Third thing, personal statement. I always say that it consists of two words. It's personal. It should be personal about you as a person. It should not contain elements of your CV, because your CV is another aspect of your application, and it should make a statement about you. Um, Again, depending upon which specialty, if you are applying to psychiatry, relatively less number of applicants, but still sometimes it's possible they will review each and every application. They while going through application, if they read a really good personal statement, it can actually lead them to offer you an interview. But for sure, if they select you based on other criteria, once you are selected, each and every line word of your personal statement is a fair game. They will read it, they will ask questions about it. So the few things is, first of all, it has to be absolutely honest. Um, if you are mentioning a hobby, unless you know a lot about it, you never know. For example, I'll tell you one example. I used to do poetry in Urdu, and in many of my interviews, I was asked because I mentioned that in my personal statement. And one of the places where I matched, the associate program director actually said, "I want you to email me your poetry in Urdu with English translation." So what I'm saying is they could ask anything. Like I used to play tennis and I mentioned that, and one of the associate PD was a very like semi-professional tennis player. All of our 20 minutes discussion was about Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and people like that. So if you think that you should mention a fancy thing which you don't know much about, and the program director or faculty would never know about it, I don't think that's a smart idea, because either they would or they can also like do a search and read about it. So I think be honest and mention uh, aspect of your personality. The start should be maybe a little bit about your childhood, your brought up, why are you interested in psychiatry, the very important question. And then you can tell a little bit of some of your personal aspects of your life, and then why at the end why this program should take you. Uh, a few things I will mention. So sometimes people would ask, like, should we customize our personal statement? I would say that if you have time, the 10 programs you are mentioning, the signaling, the 10 programs, you can change the last paragraph and modify it a little bit. I think that would be very helpful if you can. The third thing is about the use of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, and others. I think that you need to be careful because of a few things. I mean, I love artificial intelligence. I use it for a lot of things. I think if you give your input to artificial intelligence and then there's a product, it's the best scenario. But if you ask them to generate ideas, write the full statement, it there is a specific, I would say, corrector to a text that comes out of any artificial intelligence. And a seasoned program director or people who have been reviewing applications for a long time, they would know that. So try to just use them for proofreading or arrangement and stuff like that, but not use them as the generator of the ideas. It should be your own ideas. And then please send it to your mentors, your colleagues, anyone who has a good command in English. Please do send them. That's very important to get a perspective of other people. Uh, and the last thing you need is grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes in personal statement. That definitely rubs people wrong way. That should never happen. Personal statement or CV. So I think, yeah. One thing, the last thing I would also say, there's a lot of, I would say, monotony in the personal statements that we see, and the monotony is, and I'm not saying that these are the things that never happen, but that a neighbor or a relative was diagnosed with this. That's where I started to have interest in psychiatry. Again, I'm not saying that's not true. That must have happened. But if you want to describe it, then describe it in a way where it can connect with people. So I think the art of writing is very important. And I think for Cambodian especially, there is no one better than reaching out to Dr. Hashmi because uh, he's a writer. So I think there's no one better to teach that. So that would be all from my end. As I apologize, I took a lot of time, but I think personal statement is very, very, very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I see Dr. Alimadi Hashmi has joined us. He hardly needs any introduction. Sir is the chairperson and head of Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences in KE and president of KEMCAANA 2026 Pakistan chapter. Over the years, he has mentored countless students pursuing psychiatry internationally. We're truly grateful to learn from his experiences. Sir, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Iman. Am I audible? Is the sound okay?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you.
Sir, would you like to talk about your experiences or would you like to share some advice for the students thinking about pursuing psychiatry?
Sure. I'm so grateful to KEMPSYCH, to IFMSA, Scope, and to my very dear colleagues. I think some of them are online. Dr. Fateh Shehzad, Ahmed Rehan was just speaking, my very dear young colleague. Dr. Sadiq, I think Dr. Waqar is here. So I'm so happy that all of you took the opportunity to come and guide our residents. I was just thinking uh, far enough removed. I think Waqar and I both are far enough removed from residency training that people like Rabia and Shanil and Jasim and Ahmed Rehan, I think, can guide you more accurately in terms of the operational details of applications, the process, when to apply, where to apply, so on and so forth. But I can sort of give you a broader bird's eye view. I was just listening to what Ahmed was saying in terms of writing a personal statement, and he mentioned what I was thinking, which is that I think in some ways it becomes so much easier with AI and so on and so forth. But and then I also was identifying with what he was saying in terms of personal stories becoming a little bit repetitive in terms of how you describe them in a personal statement. So I'll tell you a little story of my personal statement that I sent 30 plus years ago, and which was one of the reasons that I got an interview back then with Baylor College of Medicine, because Dr. Lomax, my program director, said so. So when I was in college, in government college, and then later in King Edward, I developed an interest in doing theater on stage. So I did some theater plays, and my late uncle Shoaib Hashmi Saab was the head of Government College Medical Society, and that was one reason, so on and so forth. So I mentioned that one line, two lines in my personal statement that I'd done stage plays, and that was something that Dr. Lomax, my program director at that time, Baylor, specifically pointed out as something that was unusual in terms of a personal statement from a doctor applying for residency. So I think Ahmed is absolutely correct that a personal statement needs to be very personal to you. You should keep in mind that everybody has stories about, their parents and their family getting sick and so on, which is fine. You can mention that, but something truly unusual that stands out immediately is something that helps your personal statement stand out. I think as the machines that we use have gotten smarter, all of us, seem to be going the other way. So I cannot communicate enough how important communication skills are, especially in this case, written communication, but also spoken communication, which is going to be what you need when you actually sit down for an interview. So you really must work on that as much as you possibly can. I think some of us come from backgrounds, and I was fortunate that I came from a background where I was quite comfortable with spoken English and written English. But I know that a lot of our students at King Edward don't come from those kinds of backgrounds. But that just means that you have to work a little bit harder to develop those spoken, written communication skills, because that is the first sort of face that you present to a program in terms of your personal statement and your application and so on and so forth. And of course, in the interview, you need to be able to get your ideas across very clearly. So I won't talk about, like I said, the process of applying. I'm not as familiar with it as some of my younger colleagues are, and they'd be better resources. I, you know, I'm a psychiatrist. I love psychiatry. I love my work. I love teaching. So I mean, I'm always happy to talk to people about psychiatry. And I've lived in the U.S. and I still visit, so I'm always happy to give people a bird's eye view about what it's like there, and should they go and should they not go, and so on and so forth. And I think as Ahmed was saying, the biggest advantage I have over my, very respected and valuable colleague like Waqar and Sadiq and Fateh is that I'm at King Edward. I mean, I'm there all day, every day. So so I'm available if anybody, and I'm always happy to welcome students. I mean, those who come to see me can testify to that. I'm happy to sit down. You don't have to be interested in psychiatry. If you want to come see me, you're most welcome. Just come and sit, and we can have a conversation about, you know, careers and specialties, or we can just have a cup of tea or coffee and have some gupshup. So I love sitting with students and spending time with students. So you're welcome to come whenever you want. This is a recurring cycle. We do this every year. We're just gearing up for interview season. Couple of more months we'll do this, and then the actual interview will start. And we are very fortunate this year that we have two of our PG trainees from our department match. So they're here for a few more weeks. Rabia, I think, is online here, and Momna, I don't know if she's online or not, but and Shanil joined us briefly for PG training. So we had a couple of house officers who did house job with us, and they matched. So we had a very good match. I mean, the psychiatry department did, and King Edward did. So we always have people at KE who are who are preparing or who are matched or who are preparing to go. So there's lots and lots of resources and guidance available for really anyone who's interested in not just doing psychiatry, but any specialty. We've got a national research conference coming up next week, and we're going to have a session on this there. There'll be a session on US residency training, and then also a special session on Australian postgraduate training. So all kinds of resources available for people who are interested in getting our help, and we're always available to try and help out in whatever way we can. Thank you, Iman.
Thank you so much. I can testify that Sir is always available and very approachable and very sweet and good at helping you figure out what you want to do. I do want to ask a general panel question before we move on to question answers from the audience. I do want to ask that when should applicants start reaching out for letters of recommendation, and what is a letter of recommendation that would be considered very strong in a psychiatric view? Anybody can answer this question, because I do want to know what all of you went through and how you personally got those letter of recommendations.
Okay, I think I will answer that question. So for the letter of recommendation, generally what I do, I ask residents or residency applicants to do is um, I write a letter for them right away, like within 2 to 3 weeks of them ending their rotation with me, because my memory of them is fresh at that time. If they will request me closer to match, I'm gonna forget smaller details about them. So I write at that time. But you should give them about 6 to 8 weeks if you are requesting closer to match, so they don't feel rushed and the letter does not come generic. So that would be my suggestion. Give them about 6 to 8 weeks. A good letter is what is more individualized. It should talk about certain things that you did in your time with the faculty, like if you saw an interesting case and how did you handle that case. I'll give you an example. So, for example, for one of our residents, one of the faculty wrote about a patient who got really aggressive and how she handled the situation and de-escalated the patient. So that would be more specific example of the resident. And so more individualized the letter is, better it would be. And there were some questions about letter from Pakistan or even in US. Usually, the letter should address 6 core competencies: medical knowledge, patient care and procedural skills, practice-based learning, system-based care, and there are 2 more. So the letter should address those core competencies, but there should be highlights of, some of the patient experience that you had in your rotation with them. And so it's generally the individualized letter that is better than any letter.
Okay. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Yes.
So,
Can I go ahead?
yeah, go
Yes.
ahead, Ahmed. I can go after you. Go ahead, please.
This is Dr. Shaheen here, actually. As Dr. Naveed said, that letter should be personalized. So whatever work you do, like I attended a clinic in Orlando with a psychiatrist, Dr. Sultana. So in the free time, I like presented a case of like bipolar depression. I also gave a brief presentation. Since I was member of American Psychiatric Association, I took the membership of that. So with very much in line with the current guidelines. So I presented that presentation. So she mentioned that in my letter. So she told me about that. So whatever work you do, and try to be engaged whenever your like preceptor is seeing the patient, and ask interesting questions. And since you rotate in USA, so there is a difference in the training there as compared to Pakistan. Like there is a lot of involvement of patient in their care as well. Like for example, I would give you example like administrating antipsychotics. So if patient is not giving consent, so you go to the court and take their like accept they ask from the patient and their lawyer as well. So there is a difference in the care as well. So you should try to be involved in your observership and your internship there, so that they can mention that in your like letter of recommendation. And as Dr. Nabi said, that ask from them courteously in like after 2 weeks, like if your observership is like for 4 weeks, so try to ask them courteously like 2 weeks ahead, so that it gives them time to write a personalized letter for you as compared to because at the usually there is a very less time before the application, so that it doesn't come out generic. So that's
So let me add something related to the letter of reference from my end. Of course, I don't work in the US full time, but people do come to me to ask for letter of reference, and one of the basic um, requirements of a letter of reference, in my opinion, and one of the basic something that you need before you even ask for it, is that the person who you're asking to be your referee needs to know you well enough to comment about something specific to you in a letter of reference. So it happens all the time uh, uh, here in Lahore that if people are not in the US, they're not doing training there. The natural thought process, which is not incorrect. I mean, it makes sense, is that you can maybe try and get a letter of reference from a US trained board certified physician in Lahore as a sort of a backup option, which is fine. You can do that. But if someone wants a letter of reference from me, then I need to have worked with them, or they need to have worked with me. They need to have, either, of course, they can be a case student, which is easier, or they could have done a house job with me, or they could be one of my postgraduate trainees. And that makes it easier. But occasionally I'll get people emails, messages, please write us a letter of reference, and I've never worked with the person and I don't know this person. So that letter of reference, even if I were to write it, would not be very helpful because it wouldn't be specific to you as an individual. I think that's extremely important that the letter of reference mentions something specific to you, as Sadiq was just saying, and of course, it helps if you write get the letter of reference soon after you finish your rotation, because with mentors and faculty members, there's lots of people coming in and out. But if I need to write a letter of reference, then it has to be something that says something that is specific to the person who's asking for the letter of reference, and that can't happen unless they work with me. So I'm we are open to the idea of people coming to do a rotation at Mayo, or do something similar where we can actually have a chance to work with them and see their clinical skills and see their interests and see their research interests, and that makes it easier to write a letter of reference. It doesn't help if I'll just usually outright refuse to write a letter of reference for someone that I don't know, because it won't help you. I mean, I don't know you, so I don't really know what to write in there, which is specific to you, and it's sort of a generic letter of reference, that talks about you being hardworking and all this. I don't think that's very helpful, even if you get one from a US board certified physicians in Lahore. Of course, in the US, it's different because they operate according to different systems. So that's kind of my I like writing, as Ahmed said, so I try to make it, the letter of reference personal and interesting. So mention something that is specific, it stands out, a letter of reference to whoever reads it. So that's also something that I think is important to you now. And we have a big network, around 180 US trained board certified physicians in Lahore of all specialties, who are happy to sort of mentor as time allows, and sometimes even give people letters of reference. But the same principle applies. They need to know you. You need to have worked with them. They need to have something personal to say. They need to know you well enough to know what to write in the letter of reference. And I'm always happy to make that connection with people who want to do surgery or pulmonology or whatever, nephrology or all that. But the same principle applies. You have to make the time to work with them, to go to their hospitals, to go to their clinics, to rotate with them, to attend round with them, to attend clinics with them, and then they can give you a letter of reference that actually means something and that actually will have something significant to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll open the floor to the audience for questions. If anybody has a question, you can unmute your mic and ask the panelists.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes.
I'm Dr. Zawiria Javed. I'm from Dow Medical College. I'm a graduate of 2024. And I'm ECFMD certified. I completed all my USMLE exams, including step 3. And I have US clinical experience as well. But I went unmatched in the last cycle in psychiatry. But I will apply again in psychiatry. And for that, I have 2 questions. Actually, I have 1 question and 1 request. The question is, as a new applicant, what is the best thing for me? Because I believe I already have enough US clinical experience, means letters of recommendations. And the other thing which is in my mind right now is postdoc research position. So what is the best thing if I have to choose between the 2, like postdoc research position in psychiatry or observerships? Observership just to make more connections and more networking, because I think that was a lack in my last cycle. So what is the best thing for me? So this is the question. And the request is, I think in the last cycle I was doing so many things at the same time, jobs, finances, and exams. So I was not able to do more focus on my CV and to get a proper mentorship. But since then, Dr. Khan is helping me a lot. But I also want some new insights on my CV. So I want to request Dr. Waqar and Dr. Naveed if you can review my CV and tell me where I can improve my CV. So yeah, thank you.
Sure, this is Waqar. Sure, happy to just send me a note along with your details. I'll be happy to review.
So let me answer the first part of the question. The question actually, I think if you have graduated already and then you have done 3 to 4 months of observership, one thing that we always tell the applicants who go in math cycle again, and it is pretty normal actually for IMGs to go in another math cycle. I know I'm gonna volunteer this information for Ahmed. Ahmed Rehan also matched double second time, so it's not out of the ordinary. That's very possible. One thing, however, I would suggest is don't go back to maths with the same CV. In terms of longitudinal experience like postdoc positions and also the research position, sometimes they can also offer you visa, and that helps with the legitimacy of your stay. Many of these options may start off as the non-paid options, but they can convert to a paid options. And I have known people who went from unpaid to being paid. If you have 4 to 5 months of clinical experience, I think, then I will focus on getting a longitudinal research position. Um, Dr. Azim's gonna review your CV, and he's the one who reviews for CVs for everyone, including me. So he's the best person to guide you. We'll stop.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naveed, for insight. And thank you so much, Dr. Azim. I will definitely send you an email after that.
Just make sure that what you heard, it is according to that. Just
Okay.
choke it.
Yeah. Yes, I got that. Thank you.
So I guess I am going next. Hi everyone, this is me Marvi Devi and I'm from Pakistan. I'm also graduated. I did also apply in last match cycle and I unfortunately went unmatched. And I'm quite surprised and in a very good way that all my questions were answered, and especially Dr. Fateh Shehzad for answering my question regarding how to use prior LORs and how to fund apply for fundings regarding unpaid research, and Dr. Khan, Dr. Sadiq, Naveed, and Dr. Jasim for answering all my questions regarding personal statement. I honestly got all the clarity I was hoping for, and I'm grateful. I do have another question, which is regarding my prior cycle. In my one of the interviews, I was asked about whether do have a plan regarding where would I stay after residency. Will I go back to my home country, or I will be staying here in US to serve the community? And honestly, I think that I did not answer that satisfactorily to that question. So if you can share your thoughts, I think it would be helpful for me in next cycle.
Iman, can I make a quick comment to that? That's okay. So I think out of all the panelists, I'm the only one who's actually sitting in Pakistan after having stayed in the US for such a long time. So I suppose my question to you, Marvi, would be what is your actual plan? And I always tell students and prospective trainees to tell the truth. And if you don't know yet, then you can say that you're not sure. So I don't think it's a good idea to try to guess what's on the minds of the interviewers and try to give the answer you think they want. It's always okay to be honest, and if you don't know yet, then you can say, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be staying for a few years and then go back, or I don't plan to go back. I don't want to stay in the US. So I mean that's kind of what I would say. I don't think when I was interviewing in '94 as to whether I had a clear enough idea of where I would be in 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years. I don't think anybody can predict the future with that much clarity, and so it would be okay. I don't think I got that question, but it would be perfectly okay to say to someone who asked you that question that you're not sure. If you are thinking about going back, then you can talk about that. If you're thinking about staying on for a while, you can talk about that. If you're thinking about not going back, you can talk about that too. I think so, but I think it's a very interesting question to ask. It's an unusual question to ask in an interview, I think, but maybe some of the other seniors who are here, maybe Waqar and Sadiq can also, or maybe Ahmed Jan can also speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali. I have heard a lot of stuff about you from my colleagues from KE, and I would add on that I did answer in a way that I wanted. I clearly said that it is a long time after residency. I might have change in my plans, but currently I'm thinking about fellowship, and after my match cycle, and after that, I would love to live here and serve my community in every possible way. I would try to do that, but I am still not very much sure about my plans. So this is what I answered exactly. I don't know how it sounded.
Can I just add something? This is Waqar. Can I just few things might be helpful.
Yes, sure.
One thing is, as Dr. Sadiq was saying, it is not unusual to go unmatched. So don't feel guilty that if you did something wrong it's very unusual that you did match because of one question or one answer. That's very, very unusual. Very, very unusual. So don't beat yourself that if you answered this way or that way, that might have changed the outcome. If it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be. One thing might be worth mentioning, and at least I asked specifically. So, for example, there's a huge push towards global mental health. So, I personally know people almost every part of the world. When somebody will reach out to me, so now we have a person who just mentioned about that she want feedback about her CV. My first question will be who you are working with at Dow. So what you say about Pakistan or your home country and what you're doing over there will carry a lot of weight. A lot of us in US know what different departments are like. So if you say psychiatry is not good or not very well established or people are not good, that will not go very well. Same way I meet people from India, Egypt, Nepal. I know people there. So first question is, tell me who you're working with. So think about it. If you are doing something in Pakistan, that will carry a lot of weight in my sense. I can be wrong. I'm far away from when I was a training director, but it did carry a lot of weight if somebody was working in their home country and getting a strong letter from their own home country versus US. At least for me, it carried a lot of weight. That tells me that person's personality and that they are not just looking for LORs coming to US to do electives. So think about it. If you are in Pakistan, please, please, please go meet with your faculty in your medical colleges from very start. Secondly, when I write letters for people from Cornell, I do write this person reach out to me when they were in their second year. I know this person for 2 years. I know this person for 3 years. That carries a lot of weight. So if somebody, which you can't have it from US because you just do 4-week rotation. So if you have some connection in Pakistan, in my mind, that will carry a lot of weight, especially if the letter is written very well.
Marvi, I have a question from you. I may have misheard the question. Was this question asked during the interviews or
Yes.
by the visa officer?
No, I was asked in an interview, in my residency interview, one of my residency.
Okay. Okay. So here's what I would say about this question. Especially, I'll answer from a visa standpoint too. Most of the residency spots are on J1 visa these days. And J1 visa is a non-immigration intent visa. Yes, most people end up doing waiver, so you have to, I think, don't say that you want to stay in the country and do the waiver and don't leave US. They want people to go back. In terms of, during the residency interview, I think look at the program's mission and mission statement. Each program on their website, they will have a mission statement. Some programs and most IMGs are matching into community programs these days. Many of them actually, you would say on their mission statement, they are trying to recruit the local workforce. So that can work in their communities, that can take care of the patient population in the US. So read for the program's mission statement and then answer that question. For example, if you are in a rural program, the most of those rural programs are trying to recruit workforce that can stay in their communities and can serve the patient population. I don't think this question will sit well in those situations that you want to go back and serve back go back and serve the community in Pakistan. So I think you have to be a little bit more thoughtful about how you're going to answer that question. It doesn't matter in case of the like university programs, they have an academic focus, but community programs or rural programs, they may have different mission and different focus. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I am truly grateful to be attending this, and I gained so much clarity in my all of answers. Thank you.
Well, I think I'm next. So my name is Ahmed Bilal Choftai. I am from Lahore, Pakistan. I graduated from Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Medical College, Lahore, and I couldn't match the previous math cycle. I have completed my STEPS exams, all of them, and well. What I realized, well, I did when did my self-assessment after I went and unmatched. Uh, I found out that probably, yes, I have done all of my steps, and I have almost 6 months of clinical experience as well, and some publications as well. But I thought that probably it was lack of networking, my networking skills, or probably my communication skills as well, which I thought might be a factor. So now this year, my focus is to communicate more and more resident psychiatrists as well. And I actually went to New Jersey for Apna Spring meeting where I met Dr. Madeeh Khan. He has been very grateful, has been very helpful for me. So my question is particularly about my personal statement. When I show my personal statement last year, some people really liked it, and some people they gave me the opinion that probably it is too personal. You shouldn't be too personal with your personal statement. You should be only focused on your profession and then talk about only on that. So I have a question on that as well. So what should I do it? Because sometimes it's confusing. Some people really like it, some people don't like it. So another question is that Dr. Rehan also talked about it. Dr. Nagida also talked about it. That after if you are done with everything, yeah, there's one option is for research position as well. I also have a question about masters in public health as well. So there is a debate on some places on Reddit as well, and that masters in public health after if you are done with everything, that can be a big plus in your CV as well. So these are two of my questions. And another question, sorry, is that I was asked actually in a residency interview. So I have a question from the panelist. Is that they asked me that if you are a program director, which qualities would you see in your applicant? So yeah. So thank you for your time. If anyone want to answer that.
So I don't want to keep answering all the questions. So if anyone else wants to jump in, please jump in. Otherwise, I can answer that question. All right. So, Ahmed, actually, you asked like two or three different questions. So one was about MPH, one was about the question that program director asked you. What was the third? There was one more question.
Regarding personal statement, like some people have their opinion that
Yeah.
don't be too personal in your
Okay.
personal statement. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm even though Dr. Hashmi called me and I'm a younger, I'm getting old, so I forget. Thank you for clarifying. I think in terms of, personal statement, I generally recommend that if you are working with someone like um, um, Dr. Khan, or I call him Ahmed. If you're working with him, you don't need to show it to different people. If I can say that in Urdu, आपका गुरु हमेशा एक ही होता है. So, for example, from my I got to know Dr. Waqar Azeem after I was a faculty as an assistant professor. That was about 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe. And when I write personal statement for something or I work on my CV for a faculty promotion, I just show it to him. I don't show it to anyone else. The issue is that different people are going to have different opinion, and that's going to confuse you. So just show it to, if you have a seasoned mentor like Ahmed Rehan, you don't need to show it to multiple people. If he says this looks good, I would believe that that personal statement is decent enough. Another person you can show it to is someone who is a native English speaker. Usually these days you don't need that because ChatGPT is there now. And so you can work on your grammatical mistakes and spelling errors through ChatGPT, but you don't go to multiple people for similar opinion for similar personal statement review. I don't think that helps. So that's your first question. Second question is about the MPH. So in US, if you're doing MPH from an average university, it's going to cost you about $50,000. Unless you get a full ride scholarship, it's a lot of money to pay. So I think if you have decent scores, you have decent clinical experience, work on your application, apply for match again, um, and maybe talk to your mentors and see what you should do, because this is very personal experience, and because MPH costs a lot, this should not be your right to, from the moment to go option. You can very well do other things in residency application to increase your chances this year. For your third question, I would not, I would say, what program directors generally look for in a residency applicant. So we know your medical knowledge and patient care from your USMLE scores, your MSPE, and your letter of recommendation. What we are looking for at that time in interview is how are you going to work with team of people? Generally, when it comes to professional life, you work with a team of people. That could be your coordinator, and Dr. Azim also talked about that. You work with a coordinator, you work with other residents. How are you going to gel with those people? If you have a conflict in those situations, how well you're going to resolve that conflict. And overall, your professional habits. And third thing, I think, which I think, besides professionalism, sometimes, IMGs, or I would say IMGs would struggle with is the communication skills. So, when you are here in the country in US, go out to the parks, meet people, learn the language, learn the culture. So when you're in interviews, you can relate with the program directors, and that can be useful for residency there too. I'll stop here.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Naveed. That was very helpful. So, if someone else want to talk about it more, I have another question. Okay, so I will ask my question. So I have another question. My question is that in EDA CV, we have an experience section, and in that, I think 3 to 4 years ago, there was no particular limit on that experience section, but now we can only add 10 experiences. So the question is, in these 10 experience sections, we can only add 3 most meaningful experiences. So when I was writing my CV, I have more than 6 months of experience as a medical officer in Pakistan in a psychiatric inpatient facility. But when I came here, I acquired 6 weeks of US clinical experience. I also have 1.5 years of volunteer psychiatric experience in Pakistan as well. So my question is, in that most meaningful section, there is a debate that some people say that only add the US clinical experience as the most meaningful because it counts the most, and the other argument says that because you work 6 months in a particular setting, even though it was Pakistan, you should add that because you learn most from that experience. So my question is from the panelists. So what is the best strategy in that?
So
I can quickly answer that. Uh, I think that it doesn't matter. I would actually, if I'm reviewing an application, I would actually prefer at least one of the meaningful experience to be from your own country. So it has to be meaningful to you. You have to explain why is it meaningful to you. So it doesn't matter whether it's US or Pakistan. That's just my opinion. I think Dr. Sadiq can add definitely.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Dr. Khan.
I think Jasim wants to add something, so
sure,
I'll probably
sure,
add
Dr.
my
Naveed,
thought
you go
after
ahead
him.
first.
So I think, between the experiences between US versus Pakistani experiences, many people don't value Pakistan experience from Pakistan, but that's experience in a different country, different culture, different language, different sort of source of resource setting. So it is also as important as US experience might be. In terms of US experience, what we are looking for is your familiarity with with electronic health records, US culture. So if you have a 6 month US Pakistani experience, it can be definitely listed as a meaningful experience. It depends on how do you talk about it, because you have to give the rationale why it is a meaningful experience for you. So I think you have to sort of think about, okay, what was more meaningful for me, the experience, 6 month experience in Pakistan or 4 weeks experience in US? So you need to see what was more valuable for you rather than, me telling you one answer. So if I ask you, what did you find meaningful in that experience during the interviews, you should be able to talk about that. And if you're able to talk about that, that will show you authenticity on your part. So I would, in a moment when you're relaxing, just think about things that you learned from each of those experiences and which one was more valuable. This is why, this is a personalized CV, personalized personal statement, LORs, rather than having cookie cutter answers and applying that to, and each applicant tries to apply that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naveed.
So I would like to add one thing to it is that I had like 6 months experience that I was like working in my own startup and I started that in final year. So I did good that was a meaningful experience. And I remember there was one interview, the like two people were interviewing me, the PD and APD. And for like one whole hour, they just asked me about that startup. Like, okay, tell us about 3D printing, which clients are you dealing with? What is project design and development? How do you like formed in the team? And I wrote in my meaningful experience, like how I work in a team, how like working with clients helped me adapt my communication and tailor to specific what the client wants, and how a disciplined approach and the anxiety in launching your own startup, like how I coped with that, and also like how a horizontal leadership model in a startup can help like boosting your startup. And that was thing that was asked, like literally that was the only thing that PD and APD like discussed for 1 hour, and only one question was asked in the end, okay, why psychiatry? So that helped me a lot, and that was really good. So if something that is new and that you really like and you're passionate about, because I was really passionate about my 3D printing, so and that was brought up a lot in my interviews, like 3 interviews they asked me about it, and one whole interview was about it. So yeah, that helps. Pakistan experience, if it's meaningful and it has a really good impact on you and how you grew as a person.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Mahmood.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think our time is coming to a close. As we conclude today's session, I'd like to sincerely thank all of our respected panelists for taking out the time to guide and mentor aspiring applicants today. Your honesty, encouragement, and practical insights have truly made this session valuable. And to everyone attending, I hope this webinar helped make the psychiatry match journey feel a little more approachable. I hope it answered some of your queries. Whether you're just exploring psychiatry or actively preparing for the match, remember that every successful applicant once started exactly where you are today. We hope to see you again at future sessions. Thank you so much, everybody, and Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We'll be concluding the session.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody.